Welcome to the instructions for the Playground for Entrepreneurs. So the Playground for Entrepreneurs is a serious game designed for coaches and educators to use with their entrepreneurs or their student entrepreneurs. It can be used in a classroom setting, but also in group coaching or in longer coaching programs. It's also a very good tool to use in introductory meetings to kind of get out of the daily routine and to really reflect and play a little bit with new ideas for the entrepreneurs to explore. So let's start with a general explanation of the context of the Playground for Entrepreneurs. The Playground for Entrepreneurs really takes place in the first phase of the business, in the business discovery phase. And it's really about figuring out and exploring a business model and exploring a market segment. So as you can see, there's 4 areas. Just for the sake of clarity, in this instruction video, I will use the online version of the game. So you can see there's 4 areas. We usually start at the heart area, and the heart area is really about everything that's human, the human factor in the venture, in the project to be created. So this is about passion. This is about how to organize yourself for entrepreneurship and how to get your team together to make it happen. Then there is the ear area. The ear area is about listening to customers and listening to experts. So this is very much aligned with customer discovery, customer development, and lean startup in general, the wider lean startup movement. And there's the eye area. The eye area is about observing customers, but also observing the competition and being different. And finally, the hand area. And the hand area is about doing things, using your hands to do things. So it's about market experiments and it's about prototyping. Now, there's not really a particular order in order to play. I'll get back to that later. We usually start at the heart area because it's just such an interesting and something that everybody identifies with, the passion for entrepreneurship and what you feel about your project and how to organize yourself in order to make it happen. So as you can see, there are 2 circles. There's these colored boxes in the external circle, and there's these white boxes in the internal circle. Now, the external circle, the colored boxes, are really about exploring an opportunity in the market. So these questions are about market segments, about potential customers, about the problem or the desire that they are experiencing, and to really understand that in order to build a business or to build a project. Now, the internal circle, the white boxes, are really about validating a solution. So finding out if this solution actually fits the problem that you've explored in the external circle, and then building the business. So both circles are really early phase. Both circles are customer discovery, but the white boxes are just a bit more when there's already been a bit more progress in the project. So as you can see, the boxes are organized in sets of 6, which is convenient for a dice, to use a dice. And there's also a couple of reward cards, 32 reward cards. Now, in the general gameplay, what we do is we start at the heart area and we take turns. Now, just to give you some context, this is a collaborative board game used to collect and to give a lot of feedback. And that's what makes it really valuable. So there's no leaderboards here. There's no points. We experimented with that, but entrepreneurship is just too much about building your own dream and helping others to do the same. So it's really about collaboration, and the only competition that we find makes sense is with yourself over time. So measuring progress from one point to the other, there's a couple of tools for that. We use that in the facilitator training. But in general, this is really a collaborative game. So we start at the heart area, and then we roll the dice. There's a number, and we start taking turns, of course. So the first question, this would be the first question for the participant who is playing their turn right now. So in general gameplay, what we do is time management is very important to kind of keep balance between the participants. So there's two ways of keeping time that we found useful. And one is 2 minutes for the person to share whatever their answer to the question is, and 1 minute for everybody else to feedback on that. Now, it's very important to know that sometimes people tend to give very long answers. Sometimes people tend to give very short answers, and sometimes a facilitator should help them a little bit to get started with the question, to start sharing. Now that's the first way of timekeeping. I will continue with that, and then after the explanation, I'll go to the second way of timekeeping. So the participant shares their answer. There's no right or wrong answer. As you can see, this might be different for everybody, and this might be different for every project, and that is fine. So there will be a lot of feedback, and feedback can take many shapes. So there could be advice, there could be stories to be shared, there could also be questions to be asked if something's not clear, or some additional insight, some additional question. So there's many ways to feedback on that. And everything else after that 1 minute of feedback for every other participant, there could be small notes that you could pass on to the participant who initially answered the question. So that is to avoid that anything stays behind. Now, after all the participants have done one question of the hard area, we are now going to move on to the other areas, and you can let everybody choose their own area. So they can continue however they wish to continue, wherever they think will be most insights. Now, the reward cards, whenever the turn is finished, so let's say that the participant shared his or her version of the answer to this question. There's been some feedback, and now the participant, the initial participant, can give away a reward card to the person they think have given the best feedback, that gave them most insights. So you can have them share that. You will find that these reward cards don't really do anything with the dynamic of the game. They are just nice add-ons and a nice way to show the appreciation, and for the participant also to come to a conclusion what's worked and what hasn't worked for them in terms of feedback. So this way you'll continue. Now, as I mentioned, timekeeping is very important to kind of keep the balance between participants. You don't want one participant to kind of take over the session and the other ones to stay much more quiet. So timekeeping should be quite tight, unless somebody plays this card, of course. So then we will continue. Everybody goes to their areas where they want to go, where they want to play. You can find note sheets on the instructions page. So you can print these note sheets, give them to the participants to write down their notes of the session. And when the time is up, when you're done playing the game, it's always good to have kind of a closure with a development pitch. So you will ask everybody to kind of share their takeaways, their main conclusions of the session, something they want to figure out. And it's good to emphasize kind of an insight, but you would also want people to share something they need to still explore, because the outcome of this session will be two things: insights, new ideas, but also things that they notice that they haven't explored yet. So this is a good way of kind of making them aware of that and having them explore more investigation or something else that they should do in order to advance their project. Now let's go to the other way of timekeeping. So one way is to give 2 minutes to every participant, and then 2 minutes, I should say, and then 1 minute for everybody to do feedback. The other way is to kind of keep a chess timer. So everybody's got, let's say, 15 minutes to spend on their own questions, not on the feedback. On their own questions, they've got 15 minutes, and they can decide how they want to divide that time. If a question is particularly important for them, they will probably spend a lot more time, maybe 5 to 10 minutes. If a question is not that important, or it's something that they're working on already, they might decide that they are going to only spend 1 or 2 minutes on that particular question. And that's also a way to keep balance in the session, to have a good time with your participants, and everybody gets some useful insights out of the session. Now, how can you use this? You can use this in standalone sessions. So you will have probably a playing session of about 2 hours. The setting would be you sit around a table, you've got, let's say, 2 to 6 participants, and you play as I just explained. You can also use it as an additional dynamic in your classroom setting or in a larger group setting. You might want to divide the board among different tables and send every team or every participant to the table that they think is going to give them most value of reflection. So there's lots of different ways of playing this. We've developed a lot of additional dynamics, sometimes in a playground theme, really, like a trampoline or a seesaw, just to adjust it to different audiences. Those are included in the facilitator training and community. But most of all, explore with this yourself as well. There's many ways that you can adjust it to different audiences and different settings, whether you are in a big workshop, you've got a big audience and you've got a limited time, then it's good to maybe do some networking additional to the playground as well. To also small groups, longer processes of entrepreneurship programs in which you accompany your entrepreneurs, and you can even measure over time.